God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you all had a great weekend. I know that I did. And let's get into the news. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk briefly about before I get to our main topic of the video. First of all, there was the 60 Minutes interview. I think you know which one I'm talking about. It's the one that happened this weekend. I don't think that any of the details that were revealed in that interview are going to affect Trump's popularity or his presidency for the following reasons. Number one, Trump was elected in spite of his piggish history, his piggish character. Everybody had an idea that Trump was a vulgar, sort of ruffian-type character that didn't have the right respect for women that politicians are supposed to have. Access Hollywood hit, and everybody knew for certain that Trump did not respect women. And yet he was elected anyway. Number two, this is old news. The affair that was discussed in the 60 Minutes interviews from 2007, it's almost as old as the Access Hollywood tape. It's not going to affect what Trump supporters think about Trump. Number three, this is not a hashtag #MeToo story. This is a hashtag #NotMe story. The interviewee, I suppose, made it explicitly clear on multiple occasions that she was not abused by Donald Trump. In fact, if you read some of the statements that she makes throughout the interview, she appears to have had a strange power over the relationship, as if she was an object of fascination for Donald Trump. She insists over and over again that she's not a victim. So it's not going to affect the president. Let's talk about the Omnibus. That's the other thing. If I had been in the office on Friday, I'm sure I would have made another video about the Omnibus. But on reflection today, thinking about it, I was going to make a whole different video dedicated just to that. And I thought about it, gave it some additional thought in addition to my thoughts over the weekend. And I thought, my assessment hasn't changed that much. And here's why. On Thursday, I said I was disappointed that the Omnibus is what we were getting as far as the budget goes, as far as spending goes, for the foreseeable future. We're not going to be getting any restraint on spending from this Congress unless President Trump does something drastic. He didn't do that with this bill. He accepted the Omnibus. He accepted it for the military spending. Be that as it may, be the fact that our military is severely depleted and in a very vulnerable state right now. The president accepted a whole bunch of other pork spending. The Democrats got everything that they wanted in this spending bill, except for, allegedly they want a solution on DACA, but they didn't get anything of that. I think they want to make it a voting issue in 2018. But the Democrats got everything that they wanted. The establishment got everything that they wanted. And what the voters wanted in terms of spending, in terms of spending restraint, we were told to go pound sand. We were told you're not getting what you want. And as far as spending goes, I want to say this. It's going to take a revolutionary election to change Washington's spending habits, because we have to change the mindset of D.C. when it comes to spending. And we're not going to do that without a revolutionary 18-year period of elections. We have to get everybody that's currently in D.C. out, because they all think the same way on spending. That's going to take at minimum 18 years, because we have to replace every single senator, and that's going to take 18 years because of the election cycles that they're on. We would have to replace every single person in the House, almost every single person in the House of Representatives, and then keep in the people that are going to enact the spending revolution that we need to get spending under control. We would also have to get spending revolutionaries into those offices and then make sure that they stay spending revolutionaries throughout their time, having to deal with the swamp as it becomes drained over a process of 18 years. Is it 8? Yeah, because each of the senators serves a 6-year term, 18 years. A third of the senators is up for re-election every 2 years. So that would only take 6 years. It would, right? Yeah, 6 years to replace all the senators. That doesn't seem correct, but maybe it is. Anyway, everybody would have to be replaced on Capitol Hill in order for meaningful spending changes to take place. That didn't happen in the last election. It's probably not going to happen in this election. I don't expect any big changes in spending over Trump's presidency, really. So, again, I'm disappointed with how things played out. A veto might have gotten us a little bit more out of the Omnibus spending bill. I'm not ready to throw Trump overboard because of this spending bill. There are a lot of Republicans, a lot of them conservatives, a lot of them that write blog posts, a lot of them that have their shows that appear on mainstream media. A lot of them are just waiting for any reason whatsoever, the tiniest of reasons, to dump Trump and to say, you all need to dump Trump with me. And certainly this omnibus bill is going to be cited as a reason that we need to dump Trump. He's not having an effect on spending, we need to dump him. Well, no Republican that talks the good talk on spending is having any effect on spending. Rand Paul, the most hawkish fiscal conservative on Capitol Hill, has had no effect on congressional spending. And he's been there for decades. He's a multi-term senator. He's my favorite in terms of the budget and spending. And he's not having any effect. So if Rand Paul by himself can't have an effect on spending, I don't see how we can expect Donald Trump to have an effect on spending. That's enough of those two issues. What I really wanted to talk about today was the March for banning guns. I'm sorry, that's not what they called it. The March for Our Lives. In other words, more of the same gun control rhetoric from fresh, new faces. This is the poster boy. You can't see it because of the play button. Well, there it is. This is the poster boy of gun control in 2018. I'm sure you'll see his name in different places in these articles we're going to look at. He was on Good Morning America before the March for Gun Control rally, and he said that the rally was going to start a revolution. I don't know how effective the revolution is going to be given that these people don't believe in guns, but that goes without saying. He insisted that the NRA owns politicians, and if I could speak to Mr. Poster Boy of gun control, I would ask him, given that you believe the NRA is evil, bloodthirsty, and as powerful as you say they are, how is it that there still exist restrictions on gun ownership? How is it that gun control in different forms across the country still exists? If the NRA is as powerful and evil as you say they are. They're not, of course, and they don't own as many politicians as Mr. Poster Boy says they do. Nevertheless, the crusade against the NRA continues. This was only the first of the speaking engagements that David Hogg, Poster Boy for Gun Control, had on Saturday. He also gave a speech. I would like to say he's the keynote speaker for the march, but I don't know that for sure. And he made a few claims in that speech. The speech came off, I didn't get to listen to it, I'm assuming, based on images like this one, the speech was something of a firebrand, that David Hogg is trying to become a firebrand of gun control. And let's look at some of the claims that he made. I wouldn't be surprised if it's true that first-time voters show up 18% of the time in midterm elections. But here's the first big one. 96 people die every day from guns in our country. That almost sounds familiar. Remember, we've already looked at an organization that said there's been 18 school shootings in 2018. It's above 20 at this point. That was every town for gun safety. A similar organization called the Brady Campaign, both of whom I believe are funded by Michael Bloomberg. Brady Campaign is where the statistic 96 people die every day from gun violence. Brady Campaign says 34 are murdered, 59 die from suicide, 1 killed unintentionally, 1 killed by legal intervention, 1 died but the intent was unknown. Now, here is what poster boy for gun control David Hogg is doing when he cites 96 people die every day from guns. First of all, see the cat video that I did last Friday. Guns are inanimate objects. Guns are killing no one. People are using guns to kill people. It's not the guns that are doing the killing. But I wish I could have a sit down and talk with David Hogg, poster boy for gun control, but I've only got 15 subscribers on YouTube. There's no way this is going to happen. If anybody has more subscribers than I do and would like to ask these questions of David Hogg, please ask this. How many of these 96 deaths would be automatically stopped by banning assault weapons? How many of these deaths would be stopped by banning guns? Because that's the ultimate end goal. I talked in a previous video about the slippery slope of banning whatever firearm was used in a school shooting. Eventually, you're going to ban all firearms because eventually somebody's going to use a pea shooter in a school shooting. How many of these deaths would be stopped by banning the firearms that you want banned, Mr. Hogg? For any of you that are wondering, the answer is 2. 1 killed by legal intervention, 1 killed unintentionally. If there were no guns in the United States, 2 of these deaths are automatically stopped. The legal intervention death and the unintentional death. My second question would be, why are you conflating suicide with murder? Is suicide really the same on a moral level as murder? Is suicide really the same on a societal level as murder? Are we really going to say that a guy that commits suicide is just as evil as a guy that kills an innocent person? Are you really willing to say that a guy that dies in the act of carrying out illegal violence is just as much of a victim as a guy that died by accident at the hands of a firearm? Are you really willing to say that? Because if you are, I call into question your moral character. But I'm not allowed to do that because you're a victim of a school shooting. Anyways, let's get back to some of these quotes. I don't want to lag too long on any one quote. We're going to make this a voting issue, Mr. Hogg said. I wonder if that's going to inadvertently motivate any other U.S. voters to the polls in 2018. I genuinely wonder. I also wonder if David Hogg might be pushing the number one biggest losing voting issue that Democrats refuse to campaign on. Democrats never, ever campaign on the kind of gun legislation that David Hogg wants. I wonder, if there's a reason behind that. Maybe it's because it's their single biggest losing issue. This is something else that these Parkland kids keep doing. They keep talking about suppressing the vote and people criticizing them because they're young. Now, I want to ask Mr. Hogg, who is trying to suppress your vote besides the U.S. law that says you have to be 18 or older to vote? Who is trying to suppress your vote? Because I don't believe you when you say that there are real people that are telling you shouldn't vote. Unless it's people saying you're under 18, which is the legal age to vote, you can't vote. And people stand against you because you're too young. Now, there's a reason that people say that you are too young to be getting involved in politics. There's a lot of people that do niche YouTube videos that I find really interesting because their field of study is so precise that they have the kind of knowledge that people like me don't have. So, most of them are really rough around the edges and their language is coarse. But one of them that I watched, her name is Aiden Paladin. She did a incredible, technically heavy psychological and sociological analysis of this event, specifically of using children to push a political agenda, especially an agenda motivated by emotions like the gun control agenda. I will link her video in the description. If you want to go and watch it, I warn you, the language is pretty heavy. But her insights as a sociologist are incredible for this kind of event. That David Hogg has the hubris and the audacity to say, you can't stand up to me. My emotions dictate that you're not allowed to question me, is incredible from a sociological perspective, and you can't get that from someone like me, and the only person that I know to turn to is really coarse with her language. Watch it at your own warning. I thought that her analysis was very, very good. Leave it up to you to go and watch it if you like. The big, big claim from Mr. Hogg that I thought was just totally backwards and demonstrates how the depth of his SJW-ness, because he cites SJW, one of the SJW laws, one of the three, and that is the SJWs also project. Listen to this quote. They will try to separate us in demographics. They will try to separate us by religion, race, congressional district, and class. Mr. Hogg, who is they? Who is trying to separate you by demographics, by religion, by race, by congressional district, by class? Who? Who is trying to do that? I demand that you tell me who is trying to do that. And I demand that you tell me this because I know if you tell me it's the Republicans, I know that you are lying. Republicans do not engage in identity politics. Conservatives do not engage in identity politics. In fact, there is only one political... The word escapes me. It will come to me as soon as I move on from this point. I want to say it starts. Faction. There's only one political faction that tries to divide people by demographics, religion, race, congressional district, and class. And I'll give you a hint. It's not the gun rights lobby. The people that are trying to divide you are the people that you claim that are on your side. The people that you claim are going to be dividing people are the people on your side. It is not the gun rights lobby. Now, how successful was this rally, you might be wondering? Well, according to the Daily Caller, who I would trust over a group like CNN, the March for Our Lives crowd count was well below expected and initial reports. According to this from the Daily Caller, around 200,000 people attended the March for Our Lives, well below the expected 500,000 and well below the 600,000 initially reported by many news outlets. One tweet from USA Today, they initially reported the number was 800,000, saying that it was bigger than the single biggest protest in DC's history. Others claimed that the protest was bigger than Trump's inauguration rally. Well, according to the Daily Caller, according to CBS News and the Daily Caller, these numbers were terribly, terribly inaccurate, and there was much less interest in the March for Our Lives, not March for Life, that would be a very different event, March for Our Lives, than the media wanted us to believe. I think that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. There is going to be more to say about gun control. This issue is not going away. We are going to have to fight as long as our enemies are willing to try and take our Second Amendment rights away. We are going to have to fight for those rights. The right to preserve our life, liberty, and property with as much deadly force as is going to be wielded against us. I hope that you guys will join me for those fights, as they will be coming in the future. We will be doing more videos on them as long as we must. Until next time, I hope that you'll leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. There was a video recently released by the YouTube programmers, the people that are in charge of figuring out how these things work. And the subscribe button does not mean you're going to be notified every single time a video of mine comes out. You do have to hit the bell so that you can receive those notifications. Again, thank you for watching. Come back and join me next time. Until then, good night and God bless.